I know I'm a little bit late to this party, but new Diablo leaks have just surfaced. I wouldn't necessarily count it as something that's too exciting. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's quite an obvious anticipation in the way that the game is probably going to progress, but for the sake of content, we'll talk about it anyway. A data miner known as Datamine ARPG found out a few things about a potential world tier 5, some new gems, and scarcely some seasonal stuff. If you don't know what data mining is, it's when they look through the files in the game and they can see parts, additional content that have been pre-downloaded or something along those lines. It's never fully indicative to what's actually coming in the game, but it can give you some insight, and that's why we're going to talk about it. So first things first, world tier 5. This is the actual data mined artwork for World Tier 5, but what can we speculate about World Tier 5? Well, for starters, probably a new capstone dungeon. It goes without saying that these are the things that unlock new tiers, so I assume that Blizzard is just going to stick to that. Each new tier comes with harder monsters to fight, an even greater amount of experience, more gold, and enemies just generally hitting harder. We currently have sacred and unique items dropping from tier 3, while tier 4 is dropping ancestral and unique. So I'm assuming that we'll probably get another type of gear with just better stats or, whatever. Genuinely straightforward if you think of the current progression in the game. The only thing I wouldn't be so sure of is the recommended level that this might be for. There's a 20 level difference between tier 3 and tier 4, but tier 5 might just be more content for those who have already reached max level. There's going to be 3 new levels of gems, doesn't really matter what they're called, but he goes on to talk about the stats of these specific gems, placing a sort of confidence level on what the stats may actually be on release. Green being high confidence or very likely, yellow being unclear and likely to slightly change on launch, and red being low confidence where the final value might be very different when live. I'll post a link in the description if you want to see all of these or you just want to read the entire article for yourselves. Finally, when the new season comes out, there's going to be a seasonal reward catch, which is something that Blizzard mentioned that they'd be doing previously. Essentially, you'll be rewarded for hitting certain seasonal milestones and also a seasonal stash. There was a hotfix that went live just about an hour ago, and I really want to quickly touch on that. So I just want to touch on one point, further adjustments to elite monster density in dungeons. We're standardizing the density of elite monsters that spawn in dungeons to ensure that no particular dungeon is clearly more efficient to run than others. Basically, they're cracking down a bit on some of the experience that players were gaining in certain dungeons. If you don't know, there are dungeons with specific layouts that contain a large number of enemies that are close together and a lot of elite packs. So they were super quick and efficient to run, equating to some really high XP farms. I didn't do them myself, so I'm a little bit indifferent, but I'd like to actually know what you think in the comments. So if you have any opinions about that, please do share them. Thank you. See ya.